Privacy is a funny thing. You don't give somebody enough privacy and they don't feel comfortable. But you give them too much and something bad might happen. Where do you draw the line? The Patriot Act was a law passed by good old George W. Bush, allowing the government to illegally tap phone lines, do illegal searches on your home, detain you without evidence or reason for however long they want, and pretty much ruin your life. But unless you're cooking up some bomb or have some anthrax or planning to hijack a plane, I think you're going to do okay. Today I'm here to convince you that the Patriot Act is, in fact, a good thing. By good thing, I mean that it will stop devastating acts like 9/11 from happening. It helps us find the root of the terrorism, and it has limited to no disadvantages. September 11th was a horrifying event which affected every American. Personally, I watched one of my buddy's moms cry hours upon hours because she lost her sister in a plane crash. Were any of you affected by 9/11? I'm pretty sure most of us, or some of us, have some kind of connection that will, put us in a line of being affected by 9/11. As scary as it is, we are susceptible to attacks. These little guerrilla attacks by terrorism makes the U.S. not invincible. And it's a scary thought. The Patriot Act wasn't put into play to hurt us. It was to protect us. According to the NPR.org, every month 5 cases of terrorism are open to investigation by means of the Patriot Act. And out of the 5, every 2 are followed up and are closed cases. That means that they were terrorists, or they were doing terrorist events, or something that was going to lead to terrorism. Imagine if they weren't found. Then we might have another 9/11 event, or we might have a bombing like Madrid had, or just these little car bombs that actually happen in Afghanistan. This might be the U.S. if you just let these little 2 or 5 even pass by. Even though the Patriot Act is so successful, every month 2 is found out of, and 5 are investigated, the U.S. approval rate is only 34%. That means 1 out of every 3 Americans actually like this, law. And it boggles my mind because the success rate is far above anything else. It's just, why would you not like something that is doing so well? But not only does it stop attacks, it actually catches the root of terrorism. The Patriot Act allows agencies to find the higher-ups in terrorist cells. They call them cells. And when you get the higher-ups, you eliminate the whole cell, which takes away, so many people. And we don't know who these people are, to be granted. Just recently, there was a story about 2 terrorists, and they were found and tried and everything like that. And these 2 terrorists were very high up on the chain. And they were found with incriminating emails, with incriminating letters, and evidence linking them to other terrorists that they had previously investigated. And what allowed them to do that is the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act allowed the government to move quickly, which is very important because most of these terrorists are brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever it is, and the communication happens very fast. So if they can't move quickly by means of not having to have a warrant for searching a house or having a phone line tapped, then they wouldn't catch these guys. They'd get away. And according to the Washington Post, most terrorist chains are called cells, like I said, and are very scattered, but they are all overseen by these higher-ups, so these officer-type people. And most of the time, people following the higher-ups have no idea who they are. So let's just say Professor Kirkham is a higher-up, and he tells me, get the class together in the quad, and I tell you guys to get together, and I relay his message. You guys have no idea who he is, but you know he's in charge. That's how they work. They don't not necessarily have any direct contact with Mr. Kirkham if you dealt with me, but there is a way to catch him, and that's how they work. That means the Patriot Act, the government operatives are trained to follow this trail, and evidence links them to other higher-ups, and it's like a chain reaction. Once you catch a little guy, you catch a big guy, and then once you catch a big guy, you get an even bigger guy. And it's just, it's just this chain reaction that happens. And if you had to deal with all this I don't know, I guess you'd call them the rights of the people, then these people would get away, and it's not fair to us, personally. I think that having to get all these warrants and stuff would totally get, not be ethical for terrorism against us. Now I know that the chances of having your life being an open book is very scary. Like just having anybody be able to listen to a conversation is a scary thought. But I just want to let you know, first off, I enjoy my privacy just as much as any other guy, and but I'm also okay with this. Unless you're doing something wrong, like I said, you have nothing to fear. These agencies just don't randomly pick a phone to tap and then just hope they catch a terrorist. They follow leads and stuff. So you're not going to be a victim of having your phone tapped or your house illegally searched or being detained for no reason. There's got to be a reason behind it. And I think that's what most people are afraid of. They're afraid that they're going to fall victims to this and they're wrongfully accused, and or just have their privacy invaded, and it's a scary thought. But there was one case, but he was under suspicion, according to WSWS.org, which is a World Socialist website. And a man from Oregon was wrongfully accused for the bombing in Madrid, and he took the government to court and settled for $2 million. And he got a formal apology, and there was a whole thing about it. And he actually didn't do anything. So, by the chance you are wrongfully accused, it's kind of sad to say, but you kind of hit the lotto. I mean, you got $2 million for the minimum, but that's not the point. I'm just saying, your life does get put back together by the government. And personally, I'd rather than see them accuse me or anybody else and get it wrong than not accuse anybody and have something horrible happen. In conclusion, I hope I showed some light on the Patriot Act. I hope I picked up the Patriot Act's name out of the gutter and brushed it off. Maybe I didn't change your minds, but I hope you feel at least a little bit better about what's happening and how it's a good thing. It's up for renewal again in the future, I think, and I hope you guys renew it, or I don't think you guys really have to say anything personally. I've showed you that the Patriot Act catches terrorism in its act. It helps cut the roots of terrorism, and by showing you that it's not a bad thing, and it's not as bad as everybody makes it out. All right, that's it.
All right, Diana, what did you think?
I liked his introduction, and I think it was well organized. I also like how he provided evidence of number of cases, terrorist cases each month, and how he gave us examples of different cases.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of have the sucker punch with the attention device, and I think that's okay. I think it needs to be a little bit smoother when you deliver it, and maybe planned a little bit more effectively. But your point ultimately is clear, and I think you need to structure the supporting points a little bit more. At the end, I thought you had a really good summary and exit. That part I thought was pretty solid. Content, you had some good information about the need for the Patriot Act. I think one of the things that you need to address a little bit more, since the Patriot Act has kind of this negative public attitude, I think you illustrated that with the opinion poll that you're talking about. It also seems to be something that maybe you've heard people talking about, or you see people writing about online or stuff like that. You know, it's got an image problem. You need to talk a little bit about what's the source of that image problem. And I get to that a little bit at the end when you're talking about, look, it's not like the FBI is opening up a case on everybody that their name comes up, or anybody who uses a website suddenly becomes the victim of this kind of investigation. I think you could talk a little bit more about what some of the technical procedures are in the Patriot Act, what are required, what safeguards there are. You mentioned the one case, for instance, at the end where the guy was mistakenly associated, but if you went into that case a little bit more, you discovered there's a reason that his name came up. It's not like they just, random guy with Arab name, they decided they're going to blame him for what's going on. You know, there was, you know, a fingerprint, a partial fingerprint that was partially identified as his, and his name was the same as appeared on this other list. So, you know, the notion that people should be paranoid about the government peeking over your shoulder is a little bit exaggerated. I think that's kind of an approach that you needed to take a little bit more of earlier on in the speech. All right, and the presentation, I thought your voice and your eye contact are pretty solid. Of course, your shoes and your pants are atrocious, but, you know, that's the life of the world, you know, the way things go sometimes.